Chosen one. Unhealed people don't listen with their ears. They listen with their triggers. Valerie, talk to them.
That's because they're not hearing you. They're hearing their pain interpret your words. Every truth you speak runs through their wounds first, and by the time it reaches them, it's been distorted by fear, shame, or ego. You can't reason with an unhealed mind because their survival patterns are louder than your logic. They're not defending the truth, they're defending the identity their trauma built. So stop trying to heal people mid-trigger. That's not compassion, that's self-sacrifice. Let them project, let them panic, just don't absorb it. Your peace isn't up for negotiation because healed people don't react, they reflect. They don't need to win the argument, they hold the mirror.
You see, chosen one, most people don't listen to respond. They listen and they react. When you're having a conversation with somebody, they're not responding. They're not listening to what you said and then interjecting a thoughtful idea into the conversation. What they're doing is they're responding from their triggers. They're responding from their pain. They're responding from their past. They're responding to protect. If these people have always been attacked, that means that they consistently are on the defense. So if they're on the defense, you can just be speaking with them, sharing what you observe, trying to help, and they will not metabolize that and process that as help. They'll process it through the lens of being attacked. And then that's why they react defensively when you're only trying to help them. Valerie, talk to them.
Exactly. Because when someone's entire nervous system is built on survival, love feels like danger and truth feels like attack. They don't hear your tone, they hear their history. Every word you say ricochets through their unhealed moments, the betrayal, the rejection, the control. And instead of curiosity, you get combat. That's why you can't personalize people's projections. You might be offering medicine, but if their body's still wired for battle, they'll spit it out. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop over-explaining and step back. Let silence do the teaching.
You see, chosen one, I know you've done the work, and I know how excited you are to be able to help other people, and escort them and usher them through their ego death. But see, the thing about the ego is smart. Their ego is built of all of the defensive tactics that they need to survive. So because of that, when you try to share truth with them, you're actually shedding light in a space that is still dark in their soul. And when I say dark, I don't mean dark like evil. I mean dark like uninhabited. And because they're at a space to where their ego protected them, when they hear and they see that light that you're trying to shine on them and on their wounds and in their shadow, their ego reflexively looks at you and has an antibody type of response. Not because what you're saying is wrong, just because what you're saying is light and what you're saying is too much for them to metabolize. And in order for the ego to survive, the ego must maintain those wounds. It must maintain the identity. So it will then reflexively knee-jerk respond and react to you in a way that is unlike how they normally respond to you. This could be someone you love, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a mother, a daughter. And I know you've seen that when you strike that nerve, they respond in a certain way. That's not them. That's their ego trying to protect them. That's because they haven't done all the work yet. So now all you can do is let them do their own work. You can support them while they do it, just with your presence. Sometimes the most important battles are one-on-one battles between your ego and your soul. Valerie, talk to him.
Because that's the real war, not you versus them, but them versus the version of themselves they've been pretending to be. The ego's whole job is to protect identity. It doesn't care if that identity is wounded, small, or built on lies. It just wants to stay alive. So when you bring light, you're not just offering truth, you're threatening extinction. That's why they flinch. That's why they fight. You're not their enemy, you're their mirror. And a mirror makes the unready nervous because reflection exposes what repression tried to bury. But here's the paradox. What feels like an attack to the ego is actually an invitation to the soul. So stop trying to save people from that battle. That's sacred combat. All you can do is hold space and let the collision happen.
You see, chosen one, one thing that you can do if you don't want to stand by passively is plant seeds. Plant seeds of truth. Plant seeds of light. Plant seeds of remembrance. Embody all the seeds that you're planting. Because what will happen is that obviously emotion will lead, meaning that these people are emotional and they will emotionally respond to you a certain way. They will emotionally respond to your light. They'll defensively respond to, anything that is shining light on these shadows. When you don't give them anything to fight because they want to fight that war on your ground, they want to make you the bad guy. Because now if you're the bad guy, they don't have to look at themselves. So if you don't respond, if you don't take the bait, you don't let them have an out, you plant those seeds. Now when the waters are calm, they'll look back and then they'll think about all the things you told them, and those seeds will start to sprout. Those seeds of truth, those seeds of love will start to sprout. And then now there will be an internal revolution inside of them. And you did help, but you helped by allowing them to be the hero of their own movie. Valerie, talk to him.
Exactly. Because real awakening doesn't come from being rescued, it comes from remembering. When you plant seeds, you're speaking to the part of them that's still awake underneath the noise. You're bypassing the armor and whispering straight to the soul. That's why you don't argue, you just embody. You become living proof of what peace looks like. When the storm passes, those words, that energy, it comes back to them. And in that stillness, truth starts to bloom. They'll think it was their own realization, and that's perfect. Because the goal was never to get credit. It was to spark remembrance. That's how you lead without controlling, guide without forcing, and love without attachment. You don't drag them to the light.